Good evening, upcoming Ridgeview families. My name is Mrs. Richardson, and I am the principal at Ridgeview Junior High. This is our live broadcast for the incoming 7th grade scheduling information. And so we have quite a few people here today. And so I am going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves as I mute my mic.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mrs. Smoot, and I'm going to be the 7th grade school counselor.
Hi, guys. I am Mr. Smith. I am one of the assistant principals here, and I will be working with the 7th grade next year.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Owen, and I am going to be working with the 8th grade next year as their school counselor.
Hi, I'm Mr. Steele. I'm the assistant principal here at Ridgeview, and I will work with both grade levels as Mr. Smith splits buildings some days, so I'll be here every day.
All right, Mrs. Richardson, do you mind going to our agenda for today? So some of the things that we're going to touch base on this evening is talking about some middle school visits where either myself or Mrs. Owen and one of our principals, assistant principals will be visiting one of the middle schools. And this is a chance for your student, if they have any questions, to come up and ask us so that we can help, because we know that it's a huge transition when it goes from middle school to junior high. And so that's definitely a great time that your student can utilize to come up and ask any questions. We're also going to go through what a typical day looks like here at Ridgeview and that bell schedule. We're going to go over the scheduling with the process and also our hub too, where there is a lot of information that you can find there. We're also going to go over some of those classes with the core classes and the electives. And then at the very end, for any questions that you might have this evening. So some of the dates for Harmon, we will be there on March 8th and March 11th. And then Diley, some of us were there this afternoon today, and then this Thursday, March 4th. And then we will also be at Tollgate on March 12th. So a typical day. So at the very beginning, our school day starts at 7:15. Where then we have Paul time, which is going to be a really great point person for your child to get to know, and if they have even further questions, and then also just get to know some students that they're going to have some classes with. That's going to be a really great opportunity. And Paul time is also going to be some social emotional learning activities and lessons for them to get involved. And then from there, there is a 7-period day where some of those class periods are 48 minutes. And then some of them are 60 minutes where there's lunch or the students have E&I. So in each of those periods, the students will be rotating to a different class each time, which I know is a little bit new and different for our incoming 7th graders. So some of those scheduling basics. We will register your student for any core classes that for English, math, social studies, and science. And if there's any questions when it comes to any advanced placement or gifted classes, you're more than welcome to ask me, or we also have in the hub, there's some information there, and I'll make sure to point that out for any criteria when it comes to those advanced or gifted classes. And then the fun part is that you and your student get to register for those electives. And so there's going to be some really fun videos that you can watch together with your kid and get to see all the different classes that they'll get to have and some of the fun activities and projects that they get to do as well. So, what is the scheduling hub? So, this is going to be where all the information lies that you're going to need when it comes to scheduling. There's going to be some videos at the very top. There's going to be a welcome video, a how to schedule video, and even a scheduling timeline. The very last day to schedule will be March 12th. So that will be the deadline in order to finish registering for classes. But please make sure to watch the videos. They're only a couple minutes long, so they don't take you very long to get through, but it's very helpful information with how to get into Infinite Campus and how to register for those classes. And then even under the scheduling information, if you're a person that likes to have paper-based, there's even some written instructions in paper if you prefer to kind of read through those step-by-step guide of how to schedule for classes. And then there's also at the very bottom too, under the scheduling information on that purple left side, where it says junior high core classes. So that's where if you had any questions about advanced placement or gifted courses and what those requirements are to be able to be in those classes, there's going to be a lot of information there for it. And then in the two upper where it says elective videos, that's where the fun part comes, where you get to look through all those fun videos of different electives that we offer and really sit down to see what different areas really interest your child coming into Ridgeview. And this is a really fun time that if there's something they're kind of interested in or kind of sounds fun, for them to really take that opportunity to explore taking that class. So we have some health and wellness, we have life and career, project lead the way, and fine arts. And then there's also on the hub some Ridgeview videos if you want to take a virtual tour, meet our office staff. A lot of helpful information is here. And then even at the very bottom of our hub, if you have additional questions after tonight, there's a Google form where you can complete and fill out your question. We'll make sure to get that answered, and we will have a frequently asked question document that you can also take a look at for maybe your question's already been answered, so then you don't need to ask it. Yep, so I think we talked about that. Yep. Awesome. So then here on the PowerPoint, you will see that here are some of those requirements that we are talking about for Gifted English 7. So that's always something that you can take a look at. And the next couple slides will also give you those other requirements for math, and then also science. And then for social studies, every 7th grader takes the same exact social studies 7. So there's no advanced placement or gifted for that subject area. And if you have any other questions about gifted placements, you can always email Todd Stanley or Leanne Ross too. They're super awesome and they're really helpful when you have any questions when it comes to that. Okay. And if there's any questions that we have, and so that's where Scheduling Hub looks like, with those links up at the very top for you to take a look at when you have the chance. And then we also have information about year-long electives, But for French and German, we offer those only to 8th graders, their 8th grade year.
So as we have about 90 some of you watching right now, if there are questions that you have, please feel free to type them in the chat and post a comment. And at this point, we'll start to look through those and see how we can best address those.
One question that often comes up is when can we get our actual schedule so that we know when our classes will be? That will generally happen a week or two before school starts. So I thought I'd just throw that one out there.
Thanks, Mrs. Owen.
Mm-hmm.
In regards to visiting VLA students, unfortunately, since the Virtual Learning Academy students aren't in a building, I would definitely suggest using the junior high scheduling document at the bottom for the specific questions. They can also email any one of us directly, and we would be more than happy to answer those questions.
We are also planning we've actually put out there for office hours for students who are in VLA, and we can answer any questions for them during those office hours.
The next question in the chat has to do with choosing for the first trimester only or for the entire year. We do ask that you choose classes for the entire year. So a couple of the questions are revolving around how many courses do they take? What do you choose for the entire year? So yes, your student will choose courses for the entire year. There are 2 elective periods within the student's school day. So if they're taking a year-long class, and we are on trimesters, so if the student's taking a year-long class, that will take up one of their full elective periods. If they're taking a trimester class, there's 3 of those courses to equal one of those full periods. So as far as how many elective courses a student takes, it just depends on the course that they are taking. If it's a trimester class, it could be up to 6 elective courses throughout the school year. It could be as little as 2 elective courses if they're taking 2 year-long classes.
What sports are offered for 7th grade? For fall, we have football, we have girls volleyball, we have girls tennis, and then what am I missing? I said volleyball, football, tennis, golf.
Cheerleading.
In the winter, it's cheerleading, basketball, wrestling. And then in the spring, it's track, softball, football, boys and girls lacrosse, and boys tennis.
Don't forget about baseball.
Did I not say baseball?
No.
Did I say boys and girls softball? I meant baseball and softball.
As far as the numbers that needs to be picked, it does indeed need to add up to 24, which would be 100%. We do ask that you also have 4 to 6 alternates, so that if for some reason we can't make the schedule work to meet all of the requests, we start dipping into the alternate list, and we try to get them as many classes as we possibly can. Mm-hmm. So that would equal, to fill 2 periods, you'd either have 1 year-long class and 3 trimester classes. You'd have 2 year-long classes, or you can have up to 6 trimester classes, and that fills 2 full periods.
The next question that I saw was concerning E&I. So E&I stands for Enrichment and Intervention. So when you look at the schedule that was in the presentation, there were the 3 periods in the middle of the day that were an hour long. So during those periods, during one of them, your student will have lunch for 30 minutes and then E&I for 30 minutes. And so that's what makes up that hour. In E&I, students get individualized and targeted instruction, and they may be shared between different team members. So sometimes they might be with their ELA teacher, and another day they might be with their math teacher. But that's a way that we give students individualized support and help them stretch and grow to meet their goals.
I see a couple questions here in regards to schedules in Infinite Campus. So,
sorry.
That's okay. So basically, in order to see what your students have chosen as their electives, if you look at those videos, have them log into their Infinite Campus and show you where they went to schedule, and you will see a list. Like we stated, the core classes are already in there. And so then you're looking for electives, which would be marked E. Those would be your students' first or your top choices. And then the A for alternate would be the next set that they would like, just in case they can't get their first choice. We do not offer every single class, every single period. And so we do our best to try to make sure students get their first choice, but sometimes the schedule just doesn't work out. They may have a conflict. So having some of those alternate classes are very, very helpful. But all you need to do is go into your students' Infinite Campus. They'll walk you through where they went to register for the courses. You can take a look at what they have in there. You do not need to print anything off. You do not need to hit save. You do not need to hit submit. Any changes you make from now until March 12th will automatically be saved in there. At the end of the day on March 12th, it will close, so you will not have the ability to go back in and make any changes. So just kind of keeping that in mind. We have about, almost 2 weeks, about 10 days to go through and kind of shore things up. Please make sure that you look at the prerequisites on the course of study, which is linked in the scheduling document, to make sure that the student meets the prerequisite. Some courses have prerequisites, but we do not have any required electives that a student has to take. They get to choose which electives they want. However, if they want to take, for example, PE 9, which is our high school credited PE class, they need to make sure that they have taken PE 7, 8 first and also met the other requirement for PE. So just kind of keep those things in mind. Sometimes students see all of these classes and they sign up, or they sign up for Automation and Robotics 2 before they sign up for Automation and Robotics 1. You have to take 1 before you take 2.
There's a question up there about the 24 again. So it says someone commented, it seems like a lot of the classes have been picked for you. That is correct. So like we said in the presentation too, the core classes will already be preloaded. So it should say 18, because that would include the core classes as well as lunch and pause time. Those will all be preloaded. So then that would leave you with just those 6 scheduling spots like I talked about earlier for those trimester electives, or again, a year-long elective would take up 3 of those spots. Someone also asked about study halls. We do not have study halls or free periods here at the junior high, so you will need to fill up all of those spots. Mm-hmm. You're welcome, Mark. Thank you for joining us. And Grimes family, I also see about they're able to start doing their schedules now. So it's been open for about a week now. It's like Ms. Richardson said, it's still open for another 2 weeks. So we encourage you to sit down with your child, talk to them about their interests, and start to fill out those schedules and ask questions for us if you have them along the way.
I see a question on here from Donna Carter. Will there be another choice for my child in cohort A at Tollgate? If you could please email one of us, Beth_Richardson at plsd.us, or Kevin_Smith at plsd.us, or Christine, any one of us, just to get a little bit more clarification on exactly what you may be asking there. We can definitely get back to you this evening in regards to that. So we have been on here about 20-ish minutes. So we'll hang on here for another 2 or 3 minutes for any follow-up questions that anyone may have. This is being recorded. So this link that you came to watch this is the same link. You'll be able to access it through YouTube to rewatch if you want to, or if you know of families who were unable to. Oh, thank you, Heather. The cohort A day for Tollgate Middle School. Mr. Smith,
March
when are you
9th.
heading to Tollgate?
It looks like that's on Tuesday, March 9th.
Thank you, Mrs. Smoot.
I also wanted to let you know that the scheduling hub, you can find that under ClassLink in your student's Chromebook. I know some of the classes are posting that link. Some of the students at the middle school were a little uncertain about that today, so I reminded them that it's also in ClassLink if you're having trouble finding it.
So there's a question about Paul Time. Paul Time is the first place that our students go when they come into the building. It's a place where we focus on some of the transitional pieces as far as what it means to be in junior high, as well as some team building and relationship building. It gives us an opportunity in a smaller setting to really get to know our students, and for our students to get to know the others in their Paul Time. And so we look at different social emotional learning opportunities there. One of the things that we've been doing with our students this year is talking about emotional regulation and how you are able to manage your own 20 square feet and choose better responses based on the events that you encounter. So there's a lot of different things that we go through there. There's the morning announcements. There's some, like I said, some team building, some emotional regulation, and just some basic skills that help our students be successful no matter what the situation is they encounter.
Tanya has on there, when would we know the official class schedules? Official schedules will not be released until about 1 or 2 weeks before the start of the new school year. So once we have the registration, the process goes through then building the master schedule, which takes some time. And so it will be, official schedules will be ready to go around about the first week of August. Will there for sure be VLA for 7th grade? If so, when might we see some additional information on this? This was actually just addressed at tonight's board meeting. So for those of you interested in VLA, we will be sending out, and the middle schools will be sending out information once we have more to give in regards to what that would look like and time frames for students who would be interested in looking at the VLA option for next year.
If you are currently in VLA this year, at the end of this year, everything would go back to being in the building. So if you were interested in being in the VLA for a second year, or if you were in the building and want to do VLA next year, that would be a separate application process that you would need to go through. The default setting for everybody is that they're coming into the building.
Someone asked about parent-teacher conferences. We still do have teaching teams here, just like we have just like you're used to at the 5-6 level. So your student will have the same general group of core teachers. So actually, with the pandemic this year, that is a positive that we've came out of this is we've been able to make our conferences pretty efficient and in the virtual format. So you're able to schedule conferences, and I don't know what that'll look like for next year yet, but I do know that was very efficient, and you would have like a conference with your core teachers, and then you can also pick and choose conferences with elected teachers if you'd like.
Miss Owen or Miss Smoot, do you want to address, where did it go? It went up in the chat. There was a question about taking electives again. Or are there any that you can take more than once?
There are 2 that you can repeat. So you can take PE for 7th and 8th graders. You can repeat that, and then you can also repeat art for 7th and 8th graders. But those are the only 2 that you can repeat. All the other electives, you can only take those one time.
As far as clubs that are available, obviously this year we haven't been able to have clubs. I can tell you some of the clubs that we've had in the past, and I guess when we return, whether or not people are willing to still continue to be in charge of those, we would have to just check with teachers. We have had things like student council. We do have a student council advisor. We've had clubs, math counts, science Olympiad. Let's see, we've had, oh my goodness, what is the Rotary one?
Oh, you asked me too quick.
Okay, well, go ahead.
So you can speak about web leaders too. I mean, that would be a way to get involved, I know.
Yes, we have web leaders, and they are usually selected just as 8th graders to be web leaders, and they basically help with the transition and different activities throughout the school year. We have had Interact.
That's it.
That's the one that's related to Rotary.
Yep.
And we've had Green Team, which is like a group of students who are interested in kind of keeping the building clean and doing recycling and different things like that. They are responsible for going around and collecting all the recycling. We've had Art Club. We have all kinds of different things, but what we also encourage is for students, if they have ideas for clubs or things that they would like to start, we welcome them to come and talk to us, and we oftentimes will try to get those started. We also have, it's not really necessarily a club, it's National Junior Honor Society. We have that, and we also have a safe space group that has met in the past.
There is a question about, do students get lockers? Currently, students do not get lockers. This is something that we may or may not be revisiting next year. We will have more information, though, as we try to, as we look and see how that could work for next year. We have approximately 900 students before taking students out for VLA. So our hallways are a little small, and as much as we try to stagger our dismissals, they do tend to get a little crowded. So we're going to be looking at ways to try to help traffic flow and in those cases as well. So right now, it is not for sure if students will or will not get lockers. That's something we are still looking at for the upcoming year. Kels, you would like to see a breakdown of the student day. Give me just a minute here, and I will bring up the schedule, what our schedule looks like in regards to the time frames. That is what the student day typically looks like. We have the Paul time in seven periods. Periods 4, 5, and 6 are each an hour because those are also our lunch periods. So students will either have lunch for a half an hour and then E&I, or vice versa, one of those 3 periods.
Keep in mind there is no recess. I know for you 5th and 6th grade parents, that's a big transition for kids sometimes. So I know there's been questions about PE class. We have plenty of PE classes too to help get that movement out for our students.
So our typical class sizes are generally between 25 and 28 students in most of our classes. Some of our classes get up to 30 students, and some of the electives like PE, where there's a little bit more room to be able to move around.
Will there be an orientation before the school year starts? That is something that is also still kind of in the works. We obviously are kind of in limbo here due to some of the CDC and ODH regulations. So we will be putting all of that information out. We start putting this information out in our newsletters in June and July. Once you come over into kind of our system in Infinite Campus, you'll start getting emails through Infinite Campus that have our newsletters attached. So be on the lookout for the newsletters. We also have a Facebook page that we update. We put the new newsletters out. And then Mr. Steele, Mr. Smith, and I all have Twitters that we go through and tweet out information. But start looking for information in regards to if there's going to be a scheduled pickup, if there's going to be an orientation, starting at the end of June, beginning of July. As we get closer to the start of the new school year, we'll have a lot more answers in regards to some of those things.
So one of the things that, like, for example, we were not able to do this past year was bring everybody in for an open house. So at the beginning of this school year, we held a very similar meeting to this, and we did the open house virtually. And then on the scheduling hub, there are the welcome videos that we made that introduced our students to the building, how to come in and out of the building as far as the bus drop off and the entrances, some of the hallway information about one-way hallways, and introducing to office staff. So those videos are still up and current on our school website, as well as being linked in the scheduling hub. So hopefully that will help. And if we're not able to do an open house orientation in the fall, then I would expect an event similar to this. As far as cohorts go, as long as we are in the green, which will be moving to being in the green in April, then we would have students 5 days a week. And we'll just continue to monitor the positivity rate and the number of COVID cases, and we'll be taking recommendations from the Department of Health as far as how we begin our year next year. But as of this point, we're planning on being able to start 5 days a week.
Again, if you don't get your question answered tonight, we do have that document that's in the scheduling hub, and at the very bottom there's that Q&A form too. So I know, just like several of us have kids in the school district, we have questions that pop up all the time, and I know how it is. You'll leave this meeting, you'll be like, oh, I wish I would have asked this. So feel free to send us an email, or also to put it in that document hub too.
Again, as we get ready to end this broadcast, some of the questions that are popping up at the end, again, we have gone over. So if you have a chance to rewatch from about minute 20 on, Corona, we do address clubs, and Kyle, we also talk about the potential for VLA starting next year. That again, those pieces, the VLA piece is actually being brought up at the board meeting that just ended about an hour and a half ago. Okay. So we are going to wrap this up. Please use that Q&A document. I'm going to share my screen one more time so that you can see this junior high scheduling document. This was shared with your students. Their middle school teacher shared this with them, made it available to them. So have them at the very, very bottom here. You will see if you have questions that have not been answered from anywhere up here in any of these videos or this information, to fill out this Google form. And we will have an FAQ page here as well that's being started that will have answers to some of those questions as well. So please feel free to go here and use this form to ask questions. Again, you are more than welcome to email any of us. We will do our best to get back to you, but double check this frequently asked questions page because we may already have had someone ask the same question, and check it out. We will, we appreciate you spending a little bit of your time with us this evening. And we're going to get ready to talk to our 7th grade students who are going on to 8th grade. So we appreciate it, and have a great night, guys.